Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for your attention and for giving me an opportunity to share my research. My name is Benjamin Reagan. I'm a PhD candidate and departmental assistant studying history at Mary Immaculate College in Limerick City. My research concerns the supernatural side of the Irish Revolution, and today I'm going to be talking about the Black Pig of Kiltrustan. The Black Pig of Kiltrustan is a supernatural being, a colossal shape-shifting boar connected with a variety of archaeological sites, ancient legends, and ominous prophecies. Beginning on the 19th of April 1918 in Kiltrustan, County Roscommon, it began appearing to a number of people throughout northwestern Ireland, mostly children. These apparitions were widely reported on in Irish newspapers and sparked a massive surge of interest in the Black Pig and the associated prophecies of St. Columcille. Large crowds arrived in the Kiltrustan area to investigate the pig, and a variety of interpretations were written. This was one of the most widely remarked upon paranormal events in the Irish Revolutionary period, second only to the bleeding statues of Templemore in 1920. This pig appeared in memoirs, witness statements, newsprint, the school's folklore collection, and even contemporary academic publications. Though the initial hype would die down by the summer of 1919, the Black Pig would continue to sporadically appear in newsprint, folklore collections, and revolutionary memoirs for several decades afterwards. Despite this, it has remained relatively understudied by historians of the Irish Revolution. Out of the hundreds of paranormal memoirs I've identified over the course of my research, recollections of the Black Pig have been some of the most well corroborated. Most of the other apparitions I've found only appear in one source, usually an account written decades after the fact. By contrast, the high degree of corroboration and wealth of contemporaneous source material attesting to the Black Pig allows an exceptionally rich and multifaceted picture to emerge. This presentation will contend that the Black Pig of Kiltrustan is a topic that merits further scholarly inquiry. Today, I will explore some of the aforementioned sources to show how the physical environment and cultural milieu of the communities living in the periphery of Ulster comprised a simmering cauldron full of mythologically rich, politically charged, and highly reactive memes. This portentous brew would be brought to a boil by the conscription crisis, an acute episode of anxiety, and finally catalyzed into a full-blown panic when a frenzy of apparitions involving the prophecy of Black Pig manifested themselves to the children of Kiltrustan. In the century prior to the spring of 1918, a number of prophecies erroneously attributed to St. Columcille were in circulation amongst the people of Ireland. Originally, these had been published in print, probably in the late 1830s, and were reprinted and propagated over the 19th century by a series of writers and pamphleteers. Of dubious origin, they would repeatedly be decried by more critical scholarly commentators over the decades, in part due to a number of anachronistic features, including references to temperance crusades, redcoats, and other such artifacts of the 19th century. Nevertheless, they seeped into the oral tradition, taking on a life of their own and gradually merging into the prophetic folklore surrounding St. Columcille. These false prophecies were substantially more salacious and morbid than their more genuine counterparts in medieval sources like Adamnan's Life of St. Columba, and included a bewildering array of bizarre and baleful predictions such as a mass culling of dogs, great decreases in the population of birds and bees, conscriptions on a massive scale, and invasions of the country by Frenchmen, Spaniards, Portuguese, Turks, and rattlesnakes. These prophecies culminated in the ultimate overthrow of Saxon tyranny amidst a great European war and an apocalyptically scaled bout of sectarian slaughter in the Valley of the Black Pig. They also blended into local folkloric mythologies of the Ulster borderlands concerning the hunting of a magical shapeshifting druid. This druid was thought to have been slain in ancient times while in the form of a colossal black pig on Crooknamuck in Ruskey, County Roscommon. By the spring of 1918, the reappearance of the Black Pig was thought to be a terrible omen and one of the chief portents signifying the fulfillment of Columcille's so-called prophecies. The looming threat of conscription for the battlefields of the First World War lent the bloody prophecies added timeliness and legitimacy. This Valley of the Black Pig was loosely identifiable by a series of archaeological sites scattered along the borderlands of Ulster, known locally as the Worm Ditch or the Black Pig's Dyke, one of the largest known Iron Age earthwork fortifications in Europe. Local folklore had it that this dike was created by the raging druidical Black Pig, which tore into the earth with its snout, thereby creating the boundary. Farmers in County Monaghan held that the boundary was the ancient division between the territories of two chiefs, and that to cross it would incur the penalty of death. In the summer of 1907, William de Vimes Kane, a retired Irish entomologist, encountered the black pig's dyke and became fascinated by it while assisting the progress of the Ordnance Survey in County Monaghan. After making inquiries at similar sites throughout the borderlands, Kane ultimately published 2 archaeological papers on the subject in 1907 and 1917. He postulated that similar sites throughout the area were all part of a single, massive Iron Age fortification. He and other archaeologists of his time described the folklore surrounding the sites as merely grotesque legends of limited use for determining the age and provenance of the earthworks. On the 18th of April 1918, William de Vimes Kane died, and on the following day, the black pig finally made its appearance in the parish of Kiltrustan. The pig was a minor journalistic sensation in the spring and summer of 1918. The earliest coverage appears on the 27th of April in the Irish Times, and by the first week of May, stories concerning the pig were appearing in at least 20 different newspapers across Britain and Ireland. Reporters wrote that hundreds of people were visiting the area in hopes to catch a glimpse of the apparition. On the 11th of May, a journalist from the Roscommon Herald wrote that, quote, "In the Dublin bookshops during the week, there have been dozens of callers for the book with the prophecies, and for any book dealing with the black pig. No copy of the old book could be had for love or money in Dublin," unquote. Over the summer, this deluge waned considerably, and in subsequent years, commentary on the incident became increasingly sporadic, disappearing almost entirely by 1923. A search of Irish and British newspaper archives reveals 79 references to the apparitions. Most of these stories were reprintings of 3 reports provided by correspondents in Tulsk, Strokestown, and Roscommon Town, with various minor alterations. The most detailed comes from the Strokestown correspondent, but all the reports are substantially similar in their description of the course of events. To summarize, I'll quote from the Roscommon Messenger's article published on May 4th, 1918, which recounts stories told by Kiltrustan locals to people in Strokestown. Quote, "A little girl named Byrne, aged about 12.5 years, saw what she described as a black pig come up out of a crack or small hole in the ground near the schoolhouse, and commenced to walk about the stump of an old tree that had been cut down recently in a little grove convenient to the public road. The strange appearance of the animal and its peculiar movements attracted the little girl's attention for some minutes, after which she ran down to the school and told the teacher, Mr. Byrne, who came to the spot but failed to see the animal, the child persisting all the time that it was there and actually walking across the master's boots. Other children of the same age and younger were called, and each of them cried out simultaneously, 'Oh, look, the black pig! She is eating grass, she is spitting, she is walking on your boots,' etc. The news spread rapidly through the district, and a large number of men and women gathered to the spot, but all of them declared that they could see nothing but the grass and old trees. On Thursday, the place was visited by hundreds of people from the town and districts around, including some priests. The same children and others from a good distance away stated that they again saw the pig and young ones on Friday last, but not since. It has been decided to close the school until the excitement dies down." A number of other strange incidents over the course of the following year were linked with the black pig in an almost competitive manner, as if giving the pig a run for its money. These included a sighting of a seal-like cryptid in Drumshambo, reports of an invisible preacher heard reciting the rosary in a forest near Roscommon Town, an apparition of the Virgin Mary in Aughrim, a tame salmon, a 3-legged chicken, and the Wild Man of Skrin, a Sasquatch-like character. Some of these outlandish stories were undoubtedly a form of mockery. Much of the journalism surrounding the pig was bookended by snide quips about the superstitiousness of Kiltrustan locals. Some commentators were quite harsh. One writer in the Derry Journal suggested that the story was a product of a diseased imagination, comparing it to the Newry Bear hoax and bemoaning its constant reappearance in the editorial section of the Londonderry Sentinel. Local correspondents in newspapers based in Connacht tended to be more open-minded. Accounts of the incident published by the Roscommon Messenger contend that children who were brought to Kiltrustan from more distant districts also saw the pig and withstood some cross-examination with the original witnesses, arguing that perhaps the reason the pig was invisible to adults was that it was made up of some variety of X-ray visible only to children and animals. The school's folklore collection contains a great deal of material related to mythological black pigs. Much of the school's folklore collection is digitized and transcribed and searchable on ducas.ie. A search for the phrase black pig returns 348 hits, revealing a complex and wide-ranging legendarium surrounding the black pig. This map shows the county-by-county distribution of these hits, adjusted for the proportion of full-length stories relative to passing mentions. Unfortunately, the school's collection efforts didn't extend to the 6 northern counties, which I have marked in red here. Though Roscommon comes up surprisingly lightly, It's clear that the folklore surrounding the black pig is situated in the borderlands near Ulster. The blue markings indicate Kane's conjectured locations for the black pig's dyke. Comparing the locations of these sites to the relative density of folklore clearly reveals the connection between place and memory. Using search terms more specifically targeted toward the sightings of the black pig of Kiltrustan reveals that nearly all of the mentions concerning the black pig apparitions of 1918 specifically come from the county of Roscommon, mostly from Kiltrustan, Kilglass, and the adjacent civil parishes. 21 stories concerning these specific apparitions were transcribed in the school's folklore collection. Other mentions of the black pig outside of Roscommon mostly refer to older legends of the Valley of the Black Pig or the Black Pig's race, and a handful refer to separate incidents of an indeterminate date, which don't appear to be directly linked to the Kiltrustan sightings. This map of the civil parishes in Roscommon shows the rough extent to which the Black Pig Panic of 1918 left its mark in the local area. These maps show that though the black pig has a long tradition in folklore, the 1918 sightings did not live long in folk memory outside of this specific area, which may in part explain why this story has remained relatively obscure. The stories of the black pig of Kiltrustan in the folklore collection, when compared with other accounts, are fragmented and less verbose, but collectively they are quite informative. They are consistent with each other in several key points. They agree that 1400 years previously, the pig was banished at the behest of St. Patrick by Oisin. Patrick instructed Oisin to beat the pig with a threshing flail, after which it disappeared beneath St. Patrick's Well in nearby Rossmore. Folklore accounts claim that in 1918, the pig reappeared in 3 separate places along the bend in the road known as Downs Turd in the Creta townland, pictured here, the field behind Mrs. Dowd's house, and the Kiltrustan schoolyard. They generally agree that the pig was first seen by red-haired schoolgirls, though they disagree on which one saw it first, whether there were 2 or 3 of them, and whether or not Mrs. Dowd saw it as well. Several candidates include Elsie Kelly, Bridie Keneally, Katie Keneally, and Veronica Donahue. Interestingly, the name Baron is absent from the folklore collection accounts. These accounts describe the pig as emerging out of a ditch or a clump of trees, accompanied by 7 piglets, being a, quote, queer class of pig, unquote, and grunting loudly. Most accounts agree that initially only school children could see it, even when the pig was present and pointed out by the children to priests or other visitors. The pig, along with its piglets, was thought to be able to shapeshift into a red woman accompanied by 7 children, who would tempt the local human children with gifts or jewelry. This woman was visible to grown men, some of whom are described as seeing her haunting the school. A man who fell sick after cutting a fairy tree nearby was thought to be linked with these incidents. The local priest, Father Roddy, is acknowledged as taking interest in the pig, advising the children not to take the red woman's gifts and attempting to banish it by throwing stones. A few of the accounts connect the pig to the prophecies of Columcille and the liberation of Ireland, but most do not make this connection. The most vivid eyewitness account of the black pig is, interestingly, probably the least temporally proximate. I first encountered the black pig while reading the second witness statement of Patrick Mulooly, who, during the War of Independence, was the quartermaster of the North Roscommon Brigade. Matthew Barry, who was the investigator of the statement, described Mulooly as of a high standard of intelligence and well-read in matters of Irish history and folklore, but inclined to exaggerate his own importance. In this statement, Mulooly, a native of Kiltrustan parish, described the ominous prophetic significance of the black pig's appearance, various reactions of local people, and his own personal experience accompanying the 2 children who could see the pig. Quote, "From my personal experience on one occasion when engaged by the parents of 2 children to accompany them to school the following morning, the children were at first quite normal, and then suddenly one of them said, 'Do you see him? He is there, standing on the white stone.' Of course, we saw nothing, but the children's eyes dilated in such a manner that surely something was the cause. The other children who came along also pretended to see him, but could easily be detected as actors and little imps out for a good joke. Suffice it to say that both Father Roddy and Dean Garrity gave it serious thought and regarded it as a messenger of evil." His account matches substantially with journalistic and folkloric accounts of the event. Though Mulooly did not see the pig himself, the odd behavior and dilation of some of the children's eyes seemed convincing to him, and he would draw a distinction between children who appeared to authentically see the pig and those who were messing around. Mulooly also remarked on how seriously the local clergy seemed to take the apparitions. Other reactions he described included how Peter Carlin, the local blacksmith, convinced of his own supernatural powers, would face ridicule after attempting to banish the pig by brandishing a crucifix and chanting prayers. Mulooly also recalled another man who, terrified of encountering the pig in the form of the Red Woman, went around the village looking for holy water to keep himself safe. His neighbor was short on holy water, but for a replacement, she gave him ordinary water mixed with goat's milk, which seemed to satisfy him. In his famous memoir, On Another Man's Wound, Ernie O'Malley described his engagement with the black pig. This account was reprinted in the newspaper The Irish Press in 1936. In it, O'Malley describes how people in rural parts of Roscommon and Leitrim were gripped with genuine terror of the black pig and its prophetic implications. After hearing the prophecies and rumors of the black pig's appearance, O'Malley felt compelled to visit Kiltrustan school to investigate. Armed with his trusty .38, he nervously approached the school and called out thrice in hopes of summoning the pig. His calls went unanswered. In the end, O'Malley's account decidedly comes down on the more incredulous side, though not because he was generally incredulous of paranormal activity, but because he personally went to check and nothing came of it. O'Malley and Mulooly were later imprisoned together, and O'Malley described their conversations with each other as strange and Kabbalistic, as any magic ritual being made up of place names, personal names, nicknames, and the hidden life and history of North Roscommon as I had seen and gathered into my web, unquote. For Mulooly and O'Malley, retelling the Black Pig incident was a way of showing the cultural and spiritual depth of rural Irish people and the air of fearful apprehension gripping them. Confronting the pig symbolized overcoming that fear, showing how their empowerment as armed Irish volunteers allowed them to face an uncertain and dangerous future. In conclusion, the Black Pig of Kiltrustan meant different things to different people. Depending on who you ask, the pig could be portentous, mysterious, superstitious, humorous, or even inspiring. Undeniably, it made a riotously colorful impact. In retrospect, considering when it appeared, it is difficult to resist making the claim that the Black Pig of Kiltrustan was an omen presaging the Irish War of Independence, Partition, Civil War, and the Troubles. It was seen as terribly ominous when it appeared in 1918, and revolutionaries who remembered it decades later took a similar perspective, albeit with a slightly more aloof tone. More cynically, we could say that the pig panic was an anomaly, a perfect storm whereby the visions of children raised in a mythologically rich environment would come to light in the midst of a tense political climate and lively public discourse on prophecy. The Black Pig of Kiltrustan is a marvelous case study for exploring how direct experiences of the paranormal interact with their folkloric and political contexts, and for understanding the spiritual world of Irish people in the Revolutionary period. The uncommonly rich documentation of this event demonstrates with stunning clarity how folkloric antecedents and political events inform the phenomenological character of paranormal experiences, and how such experiences are reacted to by different kinds of media in both the immediate and long term. It shows us a different side of the Irish Revolution than what is presented by most histories. Regardless of whether you take a materialistic, phenomenological, or folkloric perspective on this event, it provokes questions that deserve serious inquiry. For the purposes of this presentation, I have had to omit a great deal more interesting source material and perspectives on this incident than I would have liked, and I'm of the firm opinion that the Black Pig of Kiltrustan merits more attention and further scholarly research than it has received. Thank you for your attention.